There you go, people. Look at that. That's the new intro. You should be there, whatever he said.
Can you?
Unmotivated people, we're back again with Q, Maul, and Kendra. Listen, we're going to talk about the power of mentorship and lean into it heavy. First time I ever realized I needed a mentor was when I realized I was an idiot. And you go, wow, I thought I knew a lot of things, and I'm just not that smart. Then I wasn't as smart as I thought I was, and the smartest thing I could do is shut the fuck up. And once I learned that, a lot of doors open, and then I learned how to, even more importantly, talk to other people. And I'll tell you, real quick. There's a few people. If you know me, I don't want to use the word powerful, but very few people will say something to me. That's the truth. So my uncle, he ends up going to jail, and he's got a son, and his ex calls and say, "Look, your uncle needs to see you try to drink bleach, kill himself." And he's always been obsessed with me because I'm like him. We're very smart, we're very witty. He can sell anything. Point is, I was telling Dan, Dan, and Dan said, Trevor, the Bible says visit thee in prison. That was the end of the conversation. He understood my values, my understanding, and the importance of how to communicate with me. So while I'm fussing, I'm not about to go see this dude, and I'm talking to him about it. He said that one line, there's nothing else to discuss. I said, put me on the list. I'll go see him. It's that simple. Because someone understood me better than I understood me at the time. And that's a mentor, right? Someone who genuinely wants what's best for you. So, Q, walked him through, and everybody, talk about your first mentor, the mentors you have now, what you've learned about becoming a mentor, being a mentor, and, everything that comes with it.
Man, like it's crazy because I had a couple people in mind, and now the way you pose that question is like just talking about the mentors. I think in different stages of your life, you attract different people that see different things in yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And then I think on the mentor side of things is like, what am I looking for? It's like, and when did I find my first, man? Like, so I think some of the first mentors that I really experienced were just young growing up, man. Athletics was my background. Right. So I was deep in sports. And for me, sports kept me out of trouble because it's not a lot to do when you're in the South. Right.
I heard.
Make babies, make trouble, or get out. Really. Yeah. And nothing's wrong. It's just depending on where you want to go is what mentors you find. So I think my first ones were coaches, and those are the people that just really saw something in me. And I think most of them saw my anger and saw themselves in me and really like kind of took that light and focused it and gave me some purpose with it. Right. And I think, as I grew and got into college and left college and got into the professional world, my mentors were on the business side. And I think that's where I got the most out of it.
Yeah.
There's a man, I need to reach out to him. I think his birthday was not too long ago. Martin Iden. This is one of the best mentors, friends, big bros I think I had in my adult life. And how we started our relationship is he was actually one of my clients. So I was in the fitness space in New York City. And Martin's a badass, man. Like he's one of the top real estate agents in the city. And I make fun of him because you can't put your finger on him. This dude, he's a white dude from the Midwest, but like his husband is like this guy from Mississippi who is just looks like he's fresh out of a fashion magazine. And their son is a black kid. So it's like, he's like, oh, I check every box. Bop, 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 bop. Like, so, as far as business, our relationship started off, I was helping him. I was coaching him and, helping him to get himself to his fitness and performance goals that he had for himself. And how we met was I was running and I was doing my thing. And I was in New York. We were in Greenwich Village. So this is one of the biggest gyms with about 62 fit professionals. And I'm talking people from Will Ferrell to Jodie Foster to the average. This is the place that they go. When people are filming the movies, this is where they go. You'll see Peter Dinklage, the dude from Power, like the whole cast from Orange is the New Black. Yeah. And they're just people when they walk in the door because that's the level that they're on. Yeah. So I got called down to the office and they were like, I got this guy. And he had his coach left and potential customer service issue. I want you to meet with him because you're the guy. And I was like, say less. So I'm rushing. I was like, listen, I got to go back to take my dog in Brooklyn. I got to go. And so I sit down in the office. This dude has this multi-$1,000 suit on. I mean, this suit was fire. Like this, he has the tie that probably costs like $400, and he sits down and he crosses his arm and his leg. He's like, "Tell me what you can do for me."
And this was a fitness consultation?
It was. And businessman, I didn't know him for bad. I was like, first of all, it ain't got nothing to do with what I can do. Is what do you want to do for yourself? You had an amazing coach, and you have obviously the financial means to afford it. Do you eat like shit, or is there some larger issue? And he's like, I do could work on my food. I said, well, stop eating like shit. See you next week. And I walk out. I just left. And he sends me a text message about 15 minutes later, like a Pokemon. It's like, I choose you.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, look, man, no, if you're going to work with me, we're going to do this, this, and this. And so that's how our relationship started. So fast forward, been working with him for a year or so. Good guy. He's on the treadmill warming up, and he says, hey, Q, let me ask you a question. And I said, what's up, man? He's like, do you make 6 figures? And I was like, bro, ask me about my finances like that. Yeah, I make 6 figures. And he says, how come you don't make 7?
Yeah, that's that right there would be how a mentor come into your life.
Fuck
It's
me up.
some shit. You be like, oh, so what are you gonna do when you get $10 million? You go, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, fuck me up. Like I had nothing to say. And he's like, look, man, when you're ready, we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. I texted him like a Pokemon, I choose you. But literally saying that right after that, I quit my job a week later and I started working with him. Like quit my job. I was like, nope, done. Opened up my first S Corp under his guidance, and I just started working with him on his team as a real estate agent.
That's crazy.
But just that whole process. I mean, within that, like Marty, he's a good dude, and he has access. One, because he's proven, and like his position alone in the marketplace allowed me to walk into a whole nother dimension that I had never would have had access to. I worked with his business coach. And this business coach was like $250 an hour. Mm-hmm. Like, and he was like, nope, you're going to work with the team. It wasn't just about me. It was him investing in his team and the people that he brought into my life, like brought me, I'm selling and listing and walking in property that's like $30+ million in New York City, in the room, going to parties and sitting in mixers and business environments. And just by being a part of his life, I got access to just understanding and not being afraid of money. And he would talk to me straight. He'd be like, bro, you're scared of money. Here's how we do it. So he, just by being in front of him, I opened up a company.
Let's pause real quick and talk about why black people are scared of money.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And I'm only saying because niggas are afraid to ask for it, and I'll shake you fucking over the ledge. I mean, it irks me when I'm like, yo, my nigga, I get paid at the door, just so we're clear. Or I'll leave. I'm not doing you no fucking favors, just so we're clear. If I did you a favor, I did you a favor. If we're doing business, we're fucking doing business. Where's my fucking money at? It's like we're not negotiating price. I'm not giving you the homie deal. You can either afford it, you can kick rocks. But why do you think that is? Because that goes back to the lack of self-worth. And then we get back to that one word he loves, epigenetics. Yes. 300 years
It's
of
back.
never having been told your value, being valued outside of a worker and a worker bee, and then not knowing how to transfer that value into things that you're really good at. You say, you know what, I'm really good at this thing, and you're afraid to ask for your fucking check?
Yep.
I'm not showing up for fucking fun. I'm coming to get paid. And in this case, everybody here got mouths to feed. I got 9, we got mad dogs. They eat better than I eat a lot of times. But
Those
I
dogs
repeat,
do
they
eat
got
pretty
it.
well.
They got to eat, man. So in this case,
Yep.
keep telling that story because the mentor is huge, but it sounds like everything I'm hearing, he taught you value. He asked you that one question that changed your life because it wasn't going to change his.
No.
It was like they always, I'm telling you, I've been there. They ask you one question and it changes just, you go, oh, damn, I never thought I could do more.
It just opens up your mind to something bigger.
Yeah.
And I think, just even within the story, I kind of like say it tongue in cheek. It's like, it's laughable. It's funny. I say the same thing. He probably started busting out laughing, but like, man, but for him to see, and I think, finding a mentor, number one,
It's hard.
it's hard. I don't even think you ever find one. I think the mentor chooses you.
Oh,
and I think
facts.
that comes with how you show up in environments where you're bigger than in your mind. I think, you could be somewhere. I legitimately have hired people that were my servers because of how they handle their business and their presence in an Applebee's. And I'm like, hey man, how long what are you doing? And once you have a conversation, you hear that they got but you show up doing the like the minutia, the bullshit, like the things that no one should be quote unquote happy to do with pride, consistency, doing the small things and still showing up no matter what's going on. Like people recognize that, especially people that have been where you've been. And more often than not, the people that I've reached to for mentorship have said yes and fallen short because they weren't invested. And the people that have found me and poured into me because they saw something that I couldn't see. And maybe it was themselves and me.
And a lot of times I tell people this. I always say I can scale character. I can't, that's what I like. A mentor finds a guy like Q and they found me.
Amen to the mat.
and it's because when you say, look, I like the communication, I like the style, I like the energy, I like this. Let me see how far I can push this person. Because long term, the mentor also sees an opportunity to make their business better, make their team stronger because of maybe just even the way you communicate or carry yourself. And he says, I can scale character. I can teach you everything you need to know. I can teach you how to walk a dog, but I can't scale someone who's a shitty person. Mm-hmm. So when we look at the core of the business and how we want to create structure, you want it to be with people who respect what we're doing, love, definitely in this case, the dog, and obsess a little bit. We need a little bit of some people that are a little obsessive in a sense. We're like, we got to get there. We don't got to get there first, but we got to get there. We got to get there by any means necessary. So, Kendra, what about you? What's your first mentor? I'm like, I got to ask this. How does someone mentor a woman? You guys are hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Bruh, hey, I got to go home with this one, man.
Yeah. I was like, don't get him in trouble today.
She's like, you done brought me into this shit.
No, I think it's good. Like, I like being the only woman here and giving that perspective.
Just remember, I got to go home.
But yeah, keep him safe. I love just listening to you guys talk because I'll have something I was going to say and then I'll just be like, nope, I want to add this, and this. But I think for me, what came up was, like, I guess I didn't have a mentor really till recently. And I want to start from the beginning is that, I had coaches, I had this, I had that, but everybody was talking to me and I couldn't relate to them and they couldn't relate to me. So if we don't have a similar story, if we don't have, like, you haven't gone through certain things or we have something that we can relate to, like within each other, I can't really hear you. I can't get past that point. And, it's Trevor, what you said about your dad. My dad was always telling me what I need to do. So you can't come up to me telling me what I need to do, ever. I will do the complete opposite. I will ignore you. So to get to me is a little different. I think I speak for a lot of women in that sense. But at the same time, like, I was like, man, like, I would love this. And I felt this need, but I was like, I just didn't relate to anyone. And it wasn't till, again, we talk about Dr. Venus a lot. I took her class and I was like, I don't know if I should be in here because I'm mixed. Like, am I allowed to be in this room? And she was like, you're in this quadrant of, he was mentioning the slave.
So this class was about healing historical wounds with your black man.
Yes.
And the basis of the class is a woman of color choosing to invest in her man. And it's not just a lover. It could be a partner, a business partner, friend, but you have to have a woman investing in a man that they believe in and invite him to the class. So for her being of mixed race the whole class was black men, black women, black man, black woman, black man, black woman. And she felt the imposter syndrome of being biracial in that class. Yeah. So setting the stage.
Right. Yes, that's correct. So for me, like, when I was personal training in DC, I had these very amazing women that were doing really well. They were all white and I saw myself in them in a way. But it wasn't really till, like, me and Dr. Venus had a talk. And she's like, why do you not deserve to be in this room? You feel like you don't deserve. It's not us. It's you feel like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what the world has shown me, that I don't fit in anywhere. So I don't want to be stepping on toes. And she's like, you're here to be in every room and create, like, a pathway between both rooms and a conversation because you can understand both sides in a way. Yeah. So she really started that for me. And I realized, like, there is this huge black side I was missing out on because I don't have a relationship with my dad that I was always searching for. So once I took her class, all these minority women started coming into my life. And I was like, just like you were saying, like, they choose you. And they started coming in and I was like, oh my God, finally, I don't have to explain this. I don't have to explain this trauma. I can just show up and you're like, got it. And we can get to the meat of it. Because if you have to go through and explain why these things are there, why this trauma is there, and explain the minority side of it, like, I don't even want to talk anymore. That's just so much effort. You want to be able to bypass that and get to like the meat and potatoes of it. So, you know, our therapist is Mexican. One of our life coaches is Asian. And it was like all these strong minority women came into the picture. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I can hear this now. And they were saying things to me like, why are you working so hard? You look so tired and out of alignment. You're just hustling. And like, you can't continue this. You got to do stuff differently. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, my white side's German Jewish and my black side is, you know, dirt road, South Carolina. Like, there's no other way to do it. It's just hustle and work hard. Like, that's it. Like, how else do you do it? And you're told this since you're a kid and you realize it's not working. I'm just like helping everybody else out and burning myself out. Mm-hmm. So they gave me that perspective of like, you have this whole other side that you put off to the side, meaning like the feminine, softer, intuitive, creative side that you put off to the side because somebody beat it out of you. And she's like, you got to get reconnected with that or you're always going to feel depressed and anxious because you're just not in alignment. And they all said that in their own different way. To now, like, I got a friend from that class with Dr. Venus, the black woman, black male class that I speak to every week who's from DC like me, and we can connect. And like, she has been such an integral part of my growth because we have the same trauma. She helps me interact, and her husband as well, I have to say, helps me interact with him. So I think I'm ready for like the business side, but I had to get that validation from people that have been through things like me that I can relate to. And there's something about Black women's truth, honesty, and love, that combination that for me has been so healing, and they've been such a big part of that. His mom's I just got a tattoo of her on my shoulder because she was such a big part of that I didn't get to have.
Oh, shit, that's different.
So, yeah.
You know, girl, go get that nigga name. She got the mama tattoo.
Mom first. Work
or no work.
He's in other spots, but in a different way.
Dang,
but she was a huge part.
I never heard that one. That's good.
Birth date, not name, but still. Just I wanted a little piece of her to remind me of that love that I can have access to that I didn't know. And that is guiding me. And that is a reminder, like all these other women I can reach to. And again, like off the other podcast, I want to thank you guys because now I'm getting the masculine perspective, which I think is the last 10% of my healing and getting to the next level is like connecting to men and speaking up. Because in women, I can speak up loud. I'm very confident. Men, it takes me a second because I'm going to read the room first. I'm like, are you safe? Are you safe? Are you safe? Are you going to try to do this? You're going to try to do this. So this is like me facing my fear and getting that last little bit of mentorship to get me to the next step, whether it be financially, family, whatever. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Too, when you think about the way I wonder what a woman go, because, you know, I think from a Black man, you walk into these places at times and they're worried about not being safe, but I don't feel safe when I'm in a room with all of them, you know, white people, Black people, in general. So you test the temperature, but you know, I'm a ball of fire, so I walk in making sure everyone understands where I stand. So vice versa, I'd rather set the tone than someone come up and poke and pry.
But see, I think that's also interesting. You just said that you grew up in the prison.
Yeah,
essentially, right?
Yeah, that's true.
What do you do when you go to a new block? You got to set the tone and be like, hey, man, I'm here.
Yeah, my dad told me a story. He said, shit, Trev, you know, some dudes came and tried me one time, and the OG came in and said, look, you got to go in there and fight both of them. He said, if you don't, you don't know what just happened. But this, and he was explaining, he's like, I had to go fight these two dudes for some fucking so small because they was trying to see what kind of game they could run. And I didn't know. You know, but that's
everything's a test.
That's a whole different world. I don't even want to go down that road. But
it's facts though. But like you just said it too. It's like I walk in a room, you need to know who I am.
Well, it's and for me though, it's because my dad said, you know, Trev, if you can communicate, there's no place you can't ever go. And so he forced those communication skills in the reading and the writing and the applying, so that when I walk in, being a Black man, he said it's a superpower. Someone's gonna always be afraid of you. He said, now you can leverage that fear by being educated. And you can get wherever you need to be as long as, again, you could talk. He said, so minute you walk around, everybody's going to be uncomfortable. He told me this. And that's the truth. None of us here are small people.
Facts, man.
None of us here are small people. And so I walk in and if I got a hoodie on, I wear bright clothes a lot of times for the reason. Literally, I got highlighters, stuff, or hoodies and all this other stuff, but I wear them all the time for a reason. because you're already watching. Let's make sure you understand safety. You're safe. Then you turn around and then you communicate. You open your mouth. Oh, he's one of them niggas. He's okay.
So, like, I think just hearing that, like, I feel like my father gave me a lot of things to set up to. He said, when you sit at the table, you take your elbows off because you're going to be sitting with kings and queens and princesses and princesses. So when you sit down, you da-da-da-da. We went to a good school and we got the communication skills. And I think that the one thing that your dad said was, I want you to leverage the fact that these fuckers are going to feel you.
Oh, yeah.
And for me, I adopted the take up less space so I don't get killed.
Same.
You know, it wasn't take up more space and leverage the fact that they're afraid. And I feel like that's an empowering stance where I was disempowered and I actually take up less space and I try to make people like me so they don't fear me, where that fear is always going to show itself.
It is literally a factor, right? So if I'm going to factor in everything that seems to be against me, I'm going to leverage it and utilize it to the best of my ability. Because you're going to watch. We put weight on the bar, You're watching, you're envious, you're jealous, you hate it's all kinds of stuff going through their head.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm a nice guy. I don't give a shit what you're doing. It's none of my business.
I love that, man.
And so and you've got to know this too, because you've been on the other side. When you bring your energy and you bring that power and you bring that poise, you bring that control, they all want to be around you.
They all want to be around.
So what has happened? I've been this way since I was a kid, and I'm like, I don't even know why people like me. And they just like, well, shit, at least I know where you stand.
Well, you are what they aren't and will never be. But see, I think in the business sense of things, and I think this is really cool that this topic is coming up, is that like in the business space, I've always been in the room where things are happening. And I feel like I'm also changing who I am in that room to make them like me. And then when I actually need a job or need an opportunity and when all the doors slam on me, you know, like when I need something, like you got my light, your wife and all these people want to have sex with me. They want to be around me. You know, like you want to leverage my likeness and put me at the table to get you business. But when it comes to a place where I start asking for my value, like, hey, listen, man, these are my life needs. I need to be, this is what I've added to the company. This is what I've added to this situation. I would like to be compensated. Or, you know what? I would like to use my intellectual property and leverage it within the company. You know, if you're in a position where you're trying to make people like you and the door closes when you actually have a need that you voice, it's very simple, like to put that, oh, there's something wrong with me, something wrong with me, something wrong.
And
versus,
mind you, I've told my friends and people around me, I said, hey, even Ma, I said, take me with you guys if you guys are unsure. I don't want anything, but I'm going to make sure you're safe. I said, so they'll bring me in to sit at these tables when they're trying to do business deals because they want to go in and they want to be like. I said, this person has no business. I'm talking crazy to the person sitting right there. And to Kai Bannister, shout out to my old guy. He brought me in and I told them all in front of the dude. I said, he doesn't know anything about web design, such and such. You guys are going to waste your time and money. And long story short, they did. And 3 people built websites. None of them worked, et cetera, et cetera. He wasn't even a designer. I said, you brought me in to solve this, prevent this from happening. And I told you to his face, he's a fucking idiot. And then I called the biggest black tech dude in Kansas City, and he said, Trev, him and his dad are so crooked that you know, like you get in a fight on the basketball court, you'll go to your car and get your gun for these niggas. And they're both in the tech space. They're both bloodsuckers. But point is, when we look at, again, leaning into being a mentor, being mentored, the best conversations and the worst conversations you ever have are with yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So you're your first mentor technically. You got to talk yourself out of hurting people. You got to talk yourself out of making even, really bad decisions sometimes. And you got to talk to the goodness in you as well. You've got to say, man, you know what? You could do better. And I asked myself that, could I do better? I asked Jamarcus that, could you have done more? Do you think you could to leverage this a little bit more? How do you grow? Tell me about your identity. What do I need to be saying when I'm trying to build your brand by way of even being on my page at times? Everything I've done is making sure you never think you can get over on me. It's not happening.
That's so, bro, like.
And it's because I'm black. Just be very clear.
Fuck my life. Like, I think that it's important, like, and when you're identifying if you have a mentor, it's not necessarily your friends. Like you said something, I'm going to keep you safe. If you're unsure, I want to do this. And all the conversations you're talking about is light and elevation, right?
That's it.
And I think there's a difference between recognizing when you're being leveraged and when you're being mentored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like leverage is meaning I'm using you to make me money.
Mhm.
And that's not bad in business if you're leveraging the opportunity for something else. In my case, I went and worked with Martin. I didn't make any money for 6 months. Like in real estate, like you're putting irons in the fire, right? I didn't make money for like 6 months. But what he did tell me is like, look, you're going to work harder than most. You're going to make a little bit of money and you are probably going to hate me. But what you're going to get is a master's degree in business and real estate, and you're going to get paid for it versus somebody who's going to go back to school for 2 years and owe $100,000. And so that is but within that statement and kind of like what you were talking with Maul is like, I have somebody who's protecting me and setting my expectations with honesty.
Yeah.
And saying that this is going to be a symbiotic relationship. You just going to get some shit that you don't know you got.
I tell people I don't sell dreams, I sell work. If you can do the work, I'll do the rest.
And I think that in business, on the other side of things, especially being a black man trying to break into a space that's occupied with other people, that, like you mentioned, is like they see your
own.
light. They're scared of it,
Mhm.
but they want to be around it.
They got to, man.
And they want to make money off of it.
And this is the first time I did it. Is I tell the story. You know, guy pays me at 24 with no. He says accolades. I have no clue what he's talking about. Trevor, your degrees and certifications. I said, man, I just read everything. How do you know all this stuff? I sit down with James Andrews and Stedman Hawkins. You know, these are top orthopedic surgeons in the world, and they're not thinking this way. We're trying to figure out how to make a smaller incision in the knee so we can reduce workman compensation claims. You could prevent the whole thing. Yeah, all because you read all the books. I said, yeah. He says, well, the board, they'll get over it. And literally, I remember, I didn't know what the board was at the time. He has to present bringing a 24-year-old with no degree certification as the head of wellness of a $500 million company. He has to bring this to the board. He can't, even though he's the chairman, he still has to have a discussion with other like minds who have invested interests when they're about to move into a wellness space as a company. Then he says, you know what? I'm going to pay you $100 an hour to be here. And you go, damn, I didn't know that was a thing. And he's continuing to identify worth and value and making sure that I'm taken care of. And get this, I quit. This is the best part. I quit because I said, you guys ain't gonna really do nothing with wellness. I'm not good at sitting in an office. I gotta go wander around, man. I gotta go figure out some more shit. So I'm at his house. He says, Trevor, make sure you see me before you leave. He says, I don't know what the fuck happened. He said, but they said you fucking left. And told them I'm at his house with like 5 kids trading on this treadmill he bought me that I could use at any moment in time. And he gives me a $4,000 check. He said, don't act like you don't need the money. So he said, but I told him, we do good business. We don't do this. If he left or not, whatever the case is, you give him his last check. Dan gave me another check for work I hadn't done for a month. And he just, and mind you, I made $4,000+. Probably, I don't even know I just made a lot of money there. It was like too much money. So I was good. So when I left, I ain't even sitting under him. I was with him every day. The chairman of the company. It's such a big company. I'm at this fucker's house 7 days a week, no exaggeration. And he didn't even know I quit. And I ain't say nothing. Because he's like, Trevor, you want to go with me here? I'm still going places with him. We eating dinner. Let's go down and try that Thai place. And he had no clue. He says, well, what happened? I said, man, once you told me we was at dinner, you was like, if you believed in wellness, you'd be all over it. You went to 6 countries in 6 days. Nobody at the company is talking about wellness, so they're not really going to do nothing. I only want to be involved in changing the world. You're 60 years old, man. If you was that curious, we already figured this out. I said, so I don't need to be paid to just sit. And even one of his sons goes, Trevor, but you're making a lot of money. I'm like, how you fucking know? And they was tight because I was making some more than some of them. Sitting around at the dinner table with the family. Bro, I was with this dude all the time, man. And he still did right by the business. And Dan, I could say beyond a reasonable doubt, he really did want what was best for people. But had I leaned into trying to get them to like me, I tell this story. I'm talking to Brandon Tassett, David Miller. They said, Trevor, write us a proposal. I'm like, man, I don't know how to write no proposal. And I'm laughing in hoodies and the sweats, and they like decked out. I'm never going to forget how clean these white guys were. And they laughed. They said, Trevor, just tell us how much it will cost us. We'll figure the rest out, okay? When you get in real wealthy rooms, but even more importantly, you have an identity. My identity is I got to tell the truth. I don't know how to be liked. I really don't, people. I'm like that thing where you're like, oh, I want these people to like me. I don't give a shit. I never did as a kid. And I really don't now. I didn't know how to lean into that, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. What I can tell you is the truth got me very far in a lot of places. And the work, they said, you know something that we don't. We love to utilize it. What is it worth to us? A lot more. So we need your brain. And we'll figure the rest out, but just give us a number. Everything they asked, I had no clue what was going on because I never done business. That's the truth. I didn't have a business background. I had a crook background. So when you're looking for a mentor, for one, I love that Q said they're going to find you because there was a woman who spoke to the chairman of our company at a Pawnee Panther prowl that got me in there with Dan. And this company says, they should be calling you. She says, what are you going to do with this T-Fit thing? And I, soapbox, you sell this dream and this idea, and you leave. She calls and says, look, she even goes, I know you don't like to get up early, Trevor, but I had to call. I'm excited. And even her, she says, hey, could you get together and train some mothers? I said, what time? She said, 5 a.m. I said, I got to be there? She said, yeah. I said, no. I'm not going to be nowhere at 5 in the morning, okay? And they would have paid me $100 a person. I'm not getting up and being nowhere at 5 o'clock. It's just not happening. Principles, beliefs, I've always leaned into that. If I want to do it, I'm not fucking doing it. So if I chose to be here, trust me, I chose to be here. So, Maul, mentor. Your first mentor, what was that like, man? We got to hear because I know you got a couple of them yourself. And I think they fell into your lap, right?
Yeah, man. But, piggybacking off of what Q said, the later mentors, as far as when I wanted to kind of shift into more so the financial literacy side and just trying to grow, it's way different. And I thought that I found them, but if the universe was working the way, I believed it to, they found me because, I locked in on the opportunity that was given to me.
Yep.
But I didn't really start seeking mentors until I kind of just wanted to, got fixated on the other side and pretty much like, what can I leave behind? I was talking to one dude and, even when Rich talks about his stories, how we got so many common interests, I think all of us, but they talking about generations of stuff being left down. And I was trying to figure out, like, how could I leave my mark, especially with my, going into fatherhood. So I became obsessed with it, bro. So
And the other side for Maul is you've heard in other podcasts, he's a basketball player, fixated on get to the league, et cetera, et cetera. And then, things don't work out, injury, pain. Somebody says, hey, you gotta move on, man. You gotta let that go. And then fast forward, you say, well, how do I use my brain now because his body's done? And then you start getting into rooms where
still had no business at, but I guess I did.
Well,
it was
you
weird,
had
man.
business because again, they wouldn't invite you to be there if they didn't want you to be there, buddy.
Yeah,
That's the beautiful thing. But now let's talk about the black factor. Where do we go as black folks, men and women, to find mentors to lean into financial success? Because everyone I've ever known personally has financially struggled.
Go to white people.
They do too. Oh, you said go to white people?
Yep. Period.
That's straightforward.
You
everybody.
understand? Like, if once you live outside of the country, you realize that this system was not necessarily designed for you to be successful.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And that's a fundamental standard. And it's not, it's fucked up, but it's the truth.
It is the truth.
You know what I mean? Like when it comes to, you listen to any talks that, like, listen to our heroes, Martin Luther King. Like, you listen to Farrakhan, you listen to Malcolm X, they're telling the truth. And they all got killed for the most part for saying it. So you go to white people. And that's their way of underground railroading your ass out the shit. And I think that it's important that, like, for me, like, that we really unpack the truth around mentorship, because anytime that I've been elevated, there's a reaction that happens in life. Like she's mentioned, you talk about triggers and landmines. So I quit my job, and I'm used to working hard to make money, to open up a company, an S Corp, to learn. And I had no idea what I'm doing. There is no income. I didn't know how to write things off. I didn't know how to get the best finances. And he put me with somebody that took care of my money. I don't know none of that shit. So when he told me to call and make cold calls, there's a lot of visceral anxiety, like that I didn't even have words for. There was a reaction into me that stopped me from doing the shit. And I was uncomfortable, lashing out, becoming a terrible person, making it hard for him to coach me, not doing what he took. When someone tries to elevate you and they reach into your shit and bring you into their environment, you're going to react. So if you got people that are just like you that have never seen that, if I got a black person, that's trying to help me out and they pull me out, and I'm going to fight them, and if they're not far enough ahead to realize and have done it themselves, you're going to disempower and fuck yourself up out of a great opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, I think that it's important. Like, how can I go somewhere that I've never been, or someone teach me something that they've never had, or never had access to, I have different fears than a white person does around money. A successful white person.
Yeah.
And I have different fears from a successful black person or an immigrant. Immigrants don't, you look at the story with Arnold Schwarzenegger and how he was so successful here. His shit was fucked up. They just lost the war. So all of his people around him were dealing with the grief of the war. And he said, I can go to the U.S. because everybody's worried about this racism shit. I'm just trying to make money.
Yep.
And he went right in and did exactly what, you see people that come from like immigrants, like Africans that come to the United States, or an American that goes into a British country. When I moved to China, I was not an African American. I was an American that obviously was good at my shit enough to get there. So I was validated. It's really crazy if you look at that. Like, people buck that system because we are built with that innate fear of trying something new, And if you're the one slave that said, hey, why don't we be free? They're going to kill your ass in front of everybody.
Wow.
So I think it's important that, like, a real mentor, and we're talking financial, right? Like,
Yeah.
There are mentors and coaches and stuff.
And it's all in company, though, because, Dan taught me a lot about myself. And he also wrote me a lot of checks.
Is Dan a white dude?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
No. Like I said, I don't have no bad stories with white folks. I mean, it's not a good or bad thing, but it's just like the ones who had the time, energy, and money and opportunity, they all been white. Matter of fact, if you do know a nigga that's successful, they'll pat you on the back and tell you good luck. Whitey will be like, yo, how do I invest? You need some help? What can I do? Hey, I know so-and-so. All of a sudden, I'm telling you, I'm at an elementary event, and the mother's like, oh, I got to go talk. I had a 2-hour conversation about you. Niggas will take something and forget your ass and won't even bring you into a space where there are other people like them or that you're trying to be more like. And then they'll sun you if they do let you in.
Oh, man.
So they'll put a cap on how far you are allowed to go if it is if you go with too many niggas. Like, oh,
you ain't saying nothing but a thing.
And so you go, wow, this nigga didn't really want me to win.
Yeah.
And that's a whole thing. So I can tell you this, in every room I've been in where white people have created opportunities, there was no fucking cap. Matter of fact, I tell this story. I'm talking about going to pay Damon John to have a conversation, right? And Dan asked, well, how much is it? I said, oh, man, he says $1,500 for, go to GameChangers.com, $1,500 for 30 minutes to talk to Damon John. And he goes,
Game changers.
He goes, okay. He said, well, that wouldn't be worth any of my time. So, but how much do you make? And he's like, I'm about $3,600 an hour. And so I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in this dude's house. He's eating fucking blueberry pie. And I'm about to go talk to Damon John about what? I'm in his kitchen, man.
Yeah.
And you go, no, just no. And from that day, Damon John, he used to be a person I wanted to meet, black guy, successful, Shark Tank, worth $350 million. I got to be honest. If I see him, I see him. If I don't, I don't. But I have no interest ever in talking to him again. And I never paid him, to be clear. We never walked down the road because I'm like, I probably should double down and just talk to Dan some more.
Well, it's interesting, like, just from it's not that I think white people are different
No.
or better or worse. It's just like, it's an evolutionary process. When black people were freed, you were free to be homeless.
That's it.
They were given, I think Martin Luther King was talking about, they were giving millions of acres away to white Americans at the time, and black people did not get that. So when you got emancipated to be broke. And
Or work that land for free because they ain't paying you.
Free, or work it to have a place to live. So, pick yourself up by your bootstrap. What boots do I have? So it's
You
not
don't even
because
own the boots.
Yeah. It's not because they're better. Like, if you look at apartheid, it's because they're further along and they had equity to go through. So the generational wealth thing, like, you look at your kids now. If I have a child today, they're not going to feel the same shit I felt in the same way. Fast forward 2 more generations, they ain't even going to know about the shit. So
Yeah,
like,
it's not going to be a factor anymore.
if it's just common knowledge to operate in a certain way and you don't have a certain innate fear of survival, you're free to make rational decisions. And I think that that's the thing about fear and finances. A lot of it comes from ignorance. We don't know what we don't know, so we fear what we don't know. And as a black people, you see somebody that's got something that you don't want them to win because you ain't got it. Yeah. And you don't even know why you mad at them.
Yeah.
And so what black people do is they take that money and they dip and they go as far away as they can to be away from all the other niggas. And I hate saying it, but there are niggas that will see your success. Not only will they do that, they will disrupt your shit, or they will surround themselves around you just so when you get high enough, they will fuck you over.
Yeah.
And that's what I deal with is mentors, you know?
And that's the one. That's why I said safe, because what's the term you called it that I can see just by wordplay where they're at mentally? She called me something. It's a good word. I like it.
Hypervigilance.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I'm like, the structure of that sounds like he sounds like a dangerous. He doesn't know how to think, and that's gonna put me at risk one day, especially how he's communicating. And then you put him in scenarios, even like this room. He said, "I've been watch how he operates with Q and Maul, and the kid coming in, and I just see one thing I don't like. It's it. Again, I'm looking for the truth, not that good shit. The good shit that comes later. The good shit's when we going through all the bullshit and really doubled down and did the work. So it is hard to be clear because, hey, I want to get, hey, I tell people all the time on the Fit Bully thing, hey, go find a good mentor. Well, could you? No, and no.
If somebody's asking you to mentor them.
That's not how it goes. And get this, the little kid Jalil we brought, he was vigilant. He was adamant about learning. I tell the story. He was annoying. On every live I was on, this kid was on comment. Oh, you got to do, you got. I'm like, damn, who is this nigga? And finally, I just said, hey, man, call my phone real quick. He's super excited. He said, boom, boom, boom. I said, no, I don't want to hear about no dogs. I said, what are you going to do with your life, man? And then he just like, oh, shit, I didn't think about that. And I said, so this is what I'm going to do. I'll get your ticket, bring you out, man. You're from St. Louis. Ain't shit going on to St. Louis, people. I'll tell you that right now. Bought him a ticket, got him out here, spent 4 days. He just came back this last time, all in the same year. It was the work. It was me identifying. I said, this is a good kid. He needs a chance, but he can do the work, and he's good-hearted. And then Maul's met him. Everybody's met him. He's like, this is a good little young guy, man. He's got a very bright future at 23 years old if he keeps staying on this path. And I'd love to, adopt him into this idea that I'm building. And he could be, again, leveraged, but he also found that the reptiles are his thing. Mm-hmm. He got the dogs, but he's like, he really knows reptiles and he enjoys it. So he got like 5 snakes, some other shit. He's educating. He's already done interviews. I said, look, you figured it out, man. And I'm going to build a whole reptile section now just because of you. But like you said, you can't call me and ask me to mentor you. You could do some work. You could be good at being yourself. You can, as Parker said in one of the episodes, if you do want to really get in a room, see what you could take off of a person's plate and just sit back and learn and listen and then know when to be quiet as well. I think that's super important, is knowing when to shut the hell up. So what is something that you would say to look for in a mentor or when being mentored? And I think the real question is how hard is it for Black people to get over themselves? Because I tell people, we're a community of people oftentimes rooted in pride. And I said, I've never seen so many niggas proud about having nothing. Never seen it. And when you go into real wealth, like you said, it's funny because you see a nigga with a chain, that's one thing. But how many times as a Black kid, you walk into a white person's house and it was a nice home, you say, wow, look at this. They had food in the pantry, all this. They had drinks. Hey, get anything you want. I can have anything. Yeah, anything, man. You're good. You can sleep anywhere in the house. What is going on here?
There's an element of generosity that you're just like, yo, y'all
between
got
the generous
snacks.
and the heat being on.
Yeah, that part.
You go, wow, this is great. I've been more impressed walking in buildings that people own or houses that people have had, well, because it's a place of peace, than I have ever seen a nigga in a fancy car. Oh, that's cool, but you get over there. I can't even fit in that car. Parker literally told us he bought the R8 and had to pull over at a 90-minute drive because his ass was on fire. He was like, yo, that was a bad car to get. Do not get the R8. Fast forward, you'd say, hey, I want to be a mentor to somebody. What does the average person even need? Especially coming from, we talked about in the other episode, anger, rage, maybe being around a jealous community, envy, greed. Niggas be greedy, ain't never had ain't never even had nothing to be greedy about.
I feel like, again, like to what we talked about earlier, your mentors show up in different stages of your life, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're at. I think for me, I found the most value in mentors that were completely different from me.
That's
like
it.
And I like it not because you're different, but if I want to be around someone that is gay, that's white, that's an immigrant, or like somebody that has something, because if you just operate mentally and cognitively different, I don't want you to be just like me. There is something to be said about being in a room where you feel safe.
Yeah.
But safety has like being around someone that is Black. There's a lot that I can learn, but we have access to the same type of wounds and shit. But if I get with somebody that never actually experienced what I've experienced, but can relate to me and make me feel safe, then now I have a whole nother realm of thinking that I would have never had access to. So if you're an immigrant, you have your shit, I have my shit, but your shit isn't bound with my limits. So you can see and speak something different into me in a different way. So I think finding somebody that has a completely different mindset on places where you're held up, and is also going to be willing to have space for the places that you're held up because they see themselves in you.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, too, to be able to have somebody that has done enough to be credible. So, and I've noticed the most successful people that I've been around, I find out how wealthy they really are a year into knowing them. I'm like, holy fuck, you got that shit, too? Oh, yeah. But anyways, you know.
And that's because wealth, it doesn't speak fast.
You ain't got to say nothing about
people, I said, you get around real wealthy people, they move slow, man. They're not racing. They're not they're not a rat race. It's not a rat race. They're not running against time. They ain't got nowhere. They ain't got to do shit. And that's peace. That's real wealth is when, again, man got his time to do what he wants from the minute he wake up to the minute he go to sleep. And help people if he so choose. But
man,
everybody else wants you to know what they've got. And in the dog space, people send me their dogs. Like, hey, man, look at my dog. I'm like, man, I think I got something here. I'm like, good, man. Take care of the dog.
Love your dog, man.
That's it. What you want me to do about it? But good luck. It doesn't align with what we do. I said, bro, I don't even be like, look at ego. Look, he's nigga.
No, this is just the byproduct of consistency. And I think that wealth and finances, I think it might have been Denzel, someone like said something about that, like money just magnifies who you really are anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
And, so if you're an asshole and you get paid $10 million, now you're an asshole that has $10 million and you have more room to do whatever it is that makes you an asshole.
Yeah.
I think that money is an energetic exchange. I got that from Dr. V as well. It's like, it's a reflection of where you're at and it's just access. It's not about the money. It's about the behaviors that was able to create and leverage for the money. And I think a lot of times if we have to really be honest with ourselves, if you look at your life and circle your head, that is a cumulative response of all the decisions that you've made based on how you think. Mm-hmm. So your mindset in the place that you are creates thoughts, and thoughts create actions, and actions create results. And basically, if you don't like where you're at, you got to really audit how you think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, turn your thoughts into things, people. It's that simple. And so I like that she said that you can't tell her what to do, when in fact you just walked us through the people who were told what to do they became wildly successful. So how much growing do you think you have to do to really basically embrace someone believing in you enough that if they were like, you need to go do this, you were like, you know what, I know for a fact this person would never steer me wrong, let me go do it.
I'm just curious to hear what she got to say. This has not. I'm on camera, ain't I?
No, you're not on camera. The camera's not on right now.
I was like, good. She saw it.
That's a great question. I think I realized that was a wound that I had to process because when you have, again, going back to the parents, you got somebody beating something into you. You're like, nobody's going to tell me what to do ever again. I'm going to do whatever I want. And especially being biracial, everyone's always trying to tell me how I should act. Like, I have a Nirvana shirt on. I love Nirvana. I love Metallica. Like, I love DMX. I love Jay-Z. I love everything. I play soccer. Like, it's just like I did everything against what everyone thought I should do all the time. Yeah. So
was that deliberate?
Deliberate.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do love all those things, but I was just like, you're never going to fit me into a box and tell me like what I need to be doing. So I had to realize, like, kind of what you were saying at the beginning is like, I really didn't have all the answers. And I looked around and I was like, I keep spinning my wheels in this same pattern. And Q and I talk about this a lot and all those wonderful people we mentioned, but I kept repeating relationships with my father over and over again in everything, in business, in friendships, and everywhere, in money. It was always that, like chasing, like love me, love me, love me kind of stuff, and just taking scraps of like human decency all the time. And I was like, this cannot continue.
You can start a podcast and call it Daddy Issues.
Oh, man.
Talk to every woman who needs guidance in breaking her habit.
I think like we're mentioning them a lot, but I think it's always good to go back to the root, right? Because then you can be like, this is where it started. And then you see these things kind of, repeating in your life. But I think that paying attention to that pattern and realizing, okay, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm repeating it over and over again. So when these outside voices came in and they came organically, they're like, you are so much better than this. No one's ever told me that. Like my dad told me how much of a piece of shit I was all the time.
Jesus.
All the time, like verbally and physically
Why do you
abusive.
think you believed it though? Because my grandmother, she said we was stupid. She called me a dummy and she called my mom a first class whore. Like I said, the Antoine Fisher thing's real, and she called us stupid every day. But I'm like, yo, you can't read. We have to sound out words for you in the Bible. You don't even got your GED. And we went to go to class, but like, why do you think you attached you like that? Because I asked people this before. Somebody could tell you, great, that'll fuck with you, and you'll hold on to that for 2 seconds. Somebody tells you ain't
Right.
shit, that'll last a whole week.
I think I think there's a little triangle of being highly sensitive, possibly on the neurodivergent spectrum, that makes you predisposed to trauma and like just you're like you were saying the mask. Like there's so many thoughts that popped in my head when you said that, but you're masking to fit in all the time. And then someone is constantly telling you everything that you do is wrong. Like he'd be like, you're not holding the fork right. You're not doing this right. You play too much soccer. People don't like women athletes. Like he would just degrade me all the time. Like I'd be like, cool. So if I just completely go over here, you'll leave me alone and I can just do what I want. So I think that,
Bring it up here and take the table.
I think being highly sensitive and intuitive and in touch with so much, you absorb a lot. And I'm still learning how to create a bubble around me, if that makes sense, because I'm absorbing energies all the time. So
So
if
you
I
guys
have,
both too led to, and you might want to leave with that, because guys, mind you, we're talking about being a mentor, and a mentor means I'm going to put my foot in your neck at times, right? And I'm going to challenge status quo, and I really want you. I tell everybody in there, I want to be worth $100 million, and that's not an exaggeration. So when I'm like asking about even a little bit about the sensitivity thing, you guys both told, I think, us last time, either on the podcast or off, how many situations in terms of friendships even and things have shifted even recently, right? It's like over the past 4 or 5 years, you go,
for sure.
we've lost a lot of people and we believed in they got fucked and all this other stuff. You go, oh, damn.
I think like for me, we were talking about this. What just came up for me is that I didn't have support. Like even with my mom, she did the best she could, but she had 6 kids dealing with that. So I was always left by myself. So I was like, I have to do this by myself. I have to do this by myself. And so, and then again, you add that surrounding myself with the wrong people that were using me. I didn't have that support to feel brave enough to go out and brave enough to try something new. And his family has really given me that to like get back in touch with myself. Cause I'm like, oh, you can come home and somebody like patches you up and loves you and like takes care of you and you can go back out and face the world. Like, I didn't even know that was an option. They're so nice to me. It was like making me physically uncomfortable. I was like, what do they want? Like, literally, I was like, what do they want? Like, where's this going?
Isn't that crazy
That's
how
the
you
same
could be
response.
so uncomfortable with kindness?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that we've never known. And, my rule, despite how much rhetoric I put out there at times, is if all I have to do is be kind to people, we'll be okay, guys. I'll tell the truth, but just be kind. And it's crazy that, here we are talking to a black woman. And I mean, we got, a couple others here, but I mean, as far as men concerned, and you go, the world hasn't been kind to us a lot of times.
See, and if you think about kindness, right? And then imagine then what financial success feels like.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying? If we're talking to having this visceral response to someone being nice and you being safe, like how, if you were legitimately in a safe place, how uncomfortable that makes you. So imagine you're comfortable with your discomfort. And so when a mentor comes into your space to elevate you, and I think that elevation is just grabbing one hand, moving from one dimension to the other.
Yeah.
Right? Like being uncomfortable in an environment that will actually allow you to be successful. Like that's where I think the mentorship is like
but
somebody.
talk about
Yeah.
even where you, and that's kind of what I was harping on her about, the mental state. Because if you've carried trauma, drama, somebody else's mama with you,
Yeah.
and then someone comes along and says, hey, I got to get you out of here. There were times where Dan and I'd sit outside of his house just talking about life and things he wants to die achieving and how he wants to help the world and stuff. And Trevor, I want to feel like, he said, I want to help these black kids out a little bit more. I said, Dan, they couldn't take how your family treats you. Black people operate in a different pretense when you do something for them. I said, they been didn't whoop one of your son's ass because I watched you set the table for grown folks, and nobody asked you even how you were doing. He used to ask me, Trev, how do you stay so energetic, man? All these. I said, Dan, you put $100,000 on the table. Literally, everybody comes and not one person said, how you doing, Dad? I said, your son respects and loves me, and I don't do nothing but that. Matter of fact, I've been right in front of your face and said, you don't owe me no money if this motherfucker keeps talking to you crazy. Fuck the training. And he'd be shaking. Oh, I'm so sorry. I built respect in that boy. And that's something he didn't have. So when you really are in the right place, even for mentorship, man, as a black person, you're carrying all these things, right? And then you walk into a place where a guy's worth $100 million and he's talking to you crazy, right? But he's talking to you crazy because he knows how to get results. And all the results you've worked towards didn't get you nowhere. Like, my man, you've been working hard and dumb for years. If you just do this, this might work out a little bit better for you. And then that first check is a wake-up call. If you can get there. Get out of your own fucking way. You got to get there. You got to, like, if you can shut the fuck up and do what that man says, you get that first $30,000 check, you say, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? It worked, didn't it? Well, let me go in here and see what else you got for me. You know, it shifts. But I think even shifting out of the mental state of where you can, like, really lean into learning and embracing the stuff, because, mind you, I'm like her too. You never could tell me what to do. You still can't.
Yeah.
But I had to find people. I always go find people smarter than me. So Chris says something, Ruben says something. Smartest people on earth when it comes to dogs, in my opinion. And they know some people smarter than them. But sometimes, but not really. So you go, they say something about a dog or medicine, for damn sure. I'm going to listen. Because they only have interest in making sure the dogs are good. But when we look at mentorship, man, I'm like, realistically, where does someone actually begin on the other side? Because I feel like, and I'm just telling you based on what I've seen, Mason, he gets a Range Rover, his first car, not because he's rich and wealthy, because that's the car he wanted and his dad's got the means. When the ex-wife's mom needed a home, she said, Dan bought her a house, but bought land, probably needed to spend the money anyway, and put some horses over there because he liked horses. So he gets to go out there sometime because, yeah, we're divorced. But, okay, you need something, the family says it, he's good. There was no way, the whole life of someone who comes from wealth, they're being mentored. And all they're seeing is success. Think about that. I visually saw people fail, struggle, and felt abandonment as early as 5 years old. And then you mean somebody comes in and cares and don't want nothing from you but you to be better?
Right.
That is fucking, what the fuck is going on here? Gives you a hug. You go, this is a grown man touching me. This is weird.
It's also, I think it's also leverage.
That
because, you know what I mean? Like, it's just what your value that you add is something different. And like, so you mentioned this, you know, situation where he throws $100,000 on the table. Nobody says thank you, but you did.
Oh yeah.
And you even recognize that was a thing. And it sucks because I feel like sometimes you do get positioned as the pet. You know, like, oh, this person actually sees me as a human. And I feel like that's the value that I've had to add in a lot of wealthy spaces is I'm going to see the humanity in there and I'm going to appreciate the little things. And they get that dopamine spike of, oh, see, I'm helping, you know, an inner city black child. And they actually like me. Because when they go around the rest of their fucking life, they hate it. You know, a lot of wealthy people hate it because you can't, I mean, being around multimillionaires, whether they're athletes, whether they're people on the rise, whether they're the intellectual property, they can't find
good people
that actually care about them. They just be around people that want to do stuff for them. And I think that, you know, in that situation, I don't know your relationship with this guy.
It was.
Like, you were the emotional support.
Very much so, my friend.
And I feel like that it's challenging because that doesn't get monetized often.
You know what? And that's literally when I had to step away.
When
so
you
one of the
realize
last times I went, I said, hey, we need to do this and that, get this done. We need to invest such and such. And he already was paying me. And he says, well, Trevor, let's talk about family first. I go, oh my God.
You're not here for that.
I'm like, my man, look, I trained Mason. He played the rock. I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. But I was in the office with him, which is not uncommon. And he wanted, and I'll go, man, they're fucked up, bro. That's the truth. And you've got quite a few kids. You're the best person I've ever met. But your kids, they got to go down their own journey, and they're going to always be there, right? But I was there when the kid's crying at 15, can you come get me from mom's? I don't feel like dad loves, all because he's going to Australia. What in the world is going here? It just is a different level of just shit.
Yep.
But as he talked about, there's no way to turn that into a business model because then it's not real. Now it's no longer just back to the exchange.
And I think that's where the evolution of it comes, right? I think as a young man or as a kid, you find that one, parents' house that has the good gushers. They got gushers. They got fruit by the foot. And so you
Man.
go to their house because you get all
Ice
the
pops,
perks.
nigga.
Man, we had peanut butter jelly sandwiches.
What?
Y'all got gushers? You know how much those cost? Those are $10 a box, and that one comes with 8.
There you go.
And y'all have them on plenty. The
Plenty,
tropical,
nigga.
the regular, and the other ones.
Man,
and then
you speaking my language.
you know,
buddy.
you grow up from there, and then you find the coach, and you're looking for this father figure or this person to see something in you that can take and hone your skills. And then you move forward, and you see the college counselor or that one OG, what up, big bro, comes to campus, and you can smoke weed with them, and it's good. Or they can buy your alcohol. And then you go into business, and then now what I'm getting in this conversation, it's all about leverage, right?
Always.
So if you go to the person's house, they were leveraging that you were friends with their kid. And you occupied them, and they liked you, and they may care about you, but you're their friend's kid, the kid, their kid's friend. And then you go to the coach, it's like, I can't play anymore. It makes me feel good to pour into these people. And then you go over and you fast forward it to business. I think the mentorship part is understanding that you are leveraging knowledge and experience, and they are leveraging the act that they can actually pour back into someone, and it feels good for them.
Yeah.
And I think that there's the evolution that I'm walking into now, just hearing this conversation. Is like, they may like you and they're genuine, but it makes them feel good. It makes you feel good. So it's all about positioning and leverage. How can I maximize this relationship? Because it's ultimately it's going to come to a close once I get this knowledge.
Yeah.
And it's going to evolve into something different, or it's going to dissipate. And that's everything. And I think it's important that when you're looking for your mentor, you go in with the expectation, once you've gotten the knowledge and they've gotten the feeling that it is to elevate somebody, that relationship's going to change. It's not always going to stay the same.
No, the dynamics always have to, in my experience, just improve. Improve because I want to grow my mental real estate, and I want to grow my emotional real estate, even in a sense. And, it takes years to become a good leader, people. And to be able to deal with people in their shit, because a lot of times people don't know how to deal with their shit, communicate with their shit. So they might be bringing some shit, and you say, look, what's really going on there? We got to work backwards to get back to the place we're at, just so I can move you forward mentally a step. And that could be a day's work, just diving back into boosting someone's confidence in themselves. Yeah. But what I love about mentors and even having some of my own, being in the position I'm in, is it lends an opportunity to better the world. And I feel that people choose to be better people or see an opportunity to be a better person, and they were led by my actions per se. And not because I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm just like doing the best thing I know to do in whatever instance and learning as much as I can and sharing everything so people can grow. But you go, do not be afraid just to try to improve. But if we could, and I said, we might create Blackboard, not a mentorship program, but a space for people of color to come and have access to a board of directors that can look at businesses, business strategy, and assisting people just potentially thinking through ideas that they want to start, because this country's built on small businesses. And to run anything, you need a mentor, man. I think that is crucial. So Q gave us his question. Did anybody else here get a question from someone that fucked your head up and forced you to go out and do more for yourself?
I think for me, it was just like, have you tried doing this differently? And it's such a simple question, but it really just like opened up my whole world. And like I mentioned before, I was like, no, you work hard, things happen. That's what I've been told my whole life. Keep working hard, keep working hard. And I'm just like beating my head into the wall. And I'm like, I am working hard. I am doing everything. I can't have any more jobs. I don't have any more time. And I still don't have any money. And it's like, one of my life coaches said that. And she was like, have you tried doing things differently? And like, she's like, you're thinking in survival. And I'm like, well, yeah, I got to eat. Like, I got to eat and I got to pay my bills. And she was like, if you start thinking differently, things will happen differently, or you start acting differently. So like every time I make a choice now, and honestly, that's the support of Q too, because you really do need it. I probably would still be in it because I didn't have any support. So I think it comes back to that. But her support meant a lot, but I needed someone to like catch me when I started making these or taking more risks to be more in alignment. Because like I didn't have anyone. I'm like, this is why I haven't done that.
That's huge too. Look, I'm like, that support thing's always been interesting because I've never felt support. So, and I've done everything on my own, literally. Camera work, video, everything that is like support. I don't know if I still even understand it completely. But like support, it's crazy how impactful that could be to someone who's used to surviving, and the power it gives a person by simply having your counterpart sit next to you and say, "Go ahead, I'm right here in case if something happens. If you fall, I'll pick you up." You know, it just one hand putting a Band-Aid on might get you right back in the game.
For sure. And for me, it's like I'm ready for the criticism. 'Cause that's what I grew up with. So it's not even that, oh, you failed, try, or it's the support, but the not being criticized. Like, oh yeah, like being validated for trying and like stepping up and doing it again and growing. And someone's like, yeah, that's awesome. That's great that you took that step. And just the criticism kills me. I can't, and that's been like my fear. I'm like, I can't be criticized anymore. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I know it comes with it, but that's what I've heard since I was 6. Is just criticize about everything that I do. So that's one of my triggers. So like I have to be careful when I interact with people. Like, is this coming from a place of love, or is this coming from a place of control or what have you, or negative criticism? Right.
You turn up, huh? So somebody says,
And that's the thing. I think we had a conversation about that one time. I was like, did you know that love isn't just telling you that you're doing a good job?
Yeah, that's not the case.
And
let the Bible tell you got to die for it. So, but go ahead.
Like, imagine, like, if you've only experienced criticism, then the criticism from a negative standpoint from someone that's hurting, like you talked about your grandma, someone that's harmed and they are lashing out at you. That's not criticism. That is called like deferring your pain. Hurt people hurting people. But there's a part of love that exists in, I'm going to not only criticize, but I'm going to hold you. I'm holding you accountable because I want you to be the highest version of yourself. And not only that, is that the standard that I'm setting for myself, this isn't aligning with. And if you've agreed to grow with me, then that means it's time for you to evolve. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a major step in our relationship because I couldn't tell her shit. I was like, hey,
oh, wow.
And still can't tell nothing because I'm smart.
Well, some things.
I'm intelligent. But like at the same time, it's like
combative.
Criticism with like, I don't, it's just elevation, to be honest with you. I want you to win.
But I had to tell him, like, I need to see the love and support first. Because, like, for me, that feels like another man coming in and telling me what I need to do without being emotionally present and showing me love and support. That just feels like somebody else. So for women, they can slide with that a little bit more. That's why it's just, because I had that relationship with my mother that we could talk that way. But for a man to come in and say that, I'm like, oh no. So we had to learn.
Fucking puts the dukes up, put the boxing
glove.
Yeah. Man.
So he's learned to like be really soft with it. And
that's interesting because I wasn't raised that way.
Look, boy, you a trooper. You a trooper.
Man, it's been a lot of nights, a lot of days.
Shout out to them for just even sharing their indifference here and talking about the truth in totality. Because, look, no disrespect, and I do mean, I don't never say this, by the way.
Go and get it out there,
but
bro.
Black women are hard to deal with, man. And it's probably because they're as angry as we are. And I don't know, I'm not a black woman. I am a black man. But I know the fact that I can't deal with them. So,
well, I think and I appreciate you saying that because I think what I experienced within myself is that I'm hard to deal with.
I know. I'm really hard to deal with.
But that's the thing is like by even saying the statement, you're hard to deal with.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, it's already closed you off from the fact that maybe
it's you.
Maybe you're the problem. And it's not saying that you
have
are.
a poise though too, and so in this case, I see where she's coming from. The beauty about it is you're a good balance. So mind you, I was raised around people yelling. So as big as I'm like I talk real soft and subtle, and so you see the videos. And when there was 100 kids around me, I didn't yell. I said, guys, this is what we're going to do today. Or I tell the kid who wanted to, and I'm like, I'm not yelling. That's one thing I'm getting away from immediately. Anybody yell at me, we might have a real problem. Mm-hmm. It definitely don't touch me after that. But point is when you have a poise and, you seek to understand, and that's always been my thing. I have no interest in fighting with people. I love diplomacy. And so diplomatically speaking, even when, someone raises their tone, man or female, I say, look, what's going on?
Yeah, we can discuss.
Yeah.
But see, the thing about that, I think it's important that people realize that poise is how I reflect my feelings.
There you go.
But just because you see this calmness doesn't mean that inside I'm not having that same visceral reaction, right?
Sure,
you
that's a
having
good
that
point.
conversation with yourself.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Like I had somebody walk up to me, like, and I was at a gym, and I'm new. Like, and some people if you got money, you see somebody in a service position, one that tells me a lot about you, but then you like, I'm entitled. This dude walked up, I was like, hey man, he working out, and I was cleaning. I said, are you done with these things? And he clearly left. And he's like, oh, you ain't about to talk to me. And I was like, hey, my brother, let me explain something to you.
This is a
real
Negro?
quick. Nah.
Oh, okay.
It was a very sassy individual, and he was just feeling himself. I don't know why. I said, listen, let me explain something to you. This name tag is not a force field. Like, I'm a man, and
That's a
I
good
get
way to
off
put it.
at 8:30, and I can meet you outside, and we can have this discussion in these terms, or we can speak like we're both humans.
Yeah. Actually,
And-
one simple question.
And we're like, hey man, like, do you want to take it there? Like, and I'm always that person. But the thing is, I never was that person. For me, football, it was like, if you piss me off like the water boy, I'm gonna change it. And when I get out there, we starting to fight, and it's cool because it stays between the white lines. And I was angry, and I'm dealing with this back because of it. And now I'm still angry. I just don't. I've evolved to the point where it's like, and listen, I can elevate if you want to elevate, but we ain't got to yell to do it.
No, bro. No, that's not.
Bruh.
It's not healthy, man. And that goes back to even your ability. But
Mm-hmm.
that goes back. Well, your ability to put up with
Yeah.
her being indifferent at times, and then her identifying in her own conversation. I could probably be a little bit too, pressing an issue that ain't an issue in a sense. And mind you, I don't know how it goes. People look.
Oh, bro, we can talk about it.
I'm an old
Yeah, we
30s
can.
30s ass nigga. Look,
Yeah.
I'd be like that. I told them all, I'm gonna build this whole thing. Don't come bother me.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up and stay. Just that emotional stuff. I don't have it, so I could never deal with
You
it.
do.
Man, I couldn't, bro. You
Keep
have no,
on sticking around a little
You
bit.
do,
Look,
bro.
man.
You have no
look
idea.
at all the men around you.
Yeah.
No, I
you
know.
do.
Look around you. Like, I've seen Jamal and his son Micah. Like, he's laying. I never seen that before. And I hear conversations
And it's
with
to be
Jamarcus
good, and
around
that's-
the dogs.
That always happens to people.
And you chose to be in our company. The reason is, my brother, I feel it on you too. I wouldn't be here. And you'll get there. It's
That's
all right.
true.
When we
look-
burrow in just like Pitty's baby boy.
I don't have it in the way. So we talk about honesty, and mind you, that's a mentor thing. I don't have the pie. So in this case, people need hugs, love, and sometimes drugs. But that love is a drug. I don't get the
Drugs are drugs also.
I don't
Another
get
podcast.
the hugs and kisses thing. It makes no sense. So like when you saw with him, you go, that is crazy to me. First time I saw it,
That's
I go,
beautiful.
I don't have that either.
wow.
I think it's
and
amazing.
I tell you guys, we don't have the camera. It wasn't rolling this night, but everybody was at the house, and Micah goes around. He hugs everybody good night, and I'm sitting on the stool. It was the funniest thing because I'm talking, and I'm below the counter downstairs, but everybody's sitting at the stool. He hugs everybody, and he gets to me and does like this. He scratches his head. and in real time, they're like, I know you're not about to hug him. He's like, just give him a pound, man. I said, and in my head, he's standing right here with the arms reaching. He's scratching his head. I'm like, I know this nigga ain't gonna hug me. And so I said, oh, okay, man, look, have a good night, man. But they always dying laughing because I'm watching this act while I'm running my mouth. And I'm like, no. And it does, I'm not a loving person. I don't know how to, that makes no sense to me.
You are a loving person.
In a different way.
You are not a physically
Yeah.
affectionate
It's a different
person.
type. Yeah.
And trust me, listen,
Different love
language.
language.
This woman wants physical touch. I'm like, miss me with it. Like, miss me with it.
Man.
And in order for me to love her, which is some bullshit, I have to open myself up to the possibility because the only touch I got, I was getting my ass beat.
And
Hey,
that's- and that's why
say,
it's not
that's the
your
truth.
love language.
Quit crying before I give you something to cry about. Go
Oh,
fix
man.
your face.
I remember the day I
not-
had to
you know.
stop crying, bro. I remember all these things. No choice. Them tears is gone. You're done.
And let me rephrase. My parents were affectionate and they did things differently. But what my spirit remembers is wait till your father gets home. And for no, dad gets home off of work. Hey man, this is what your son did. I need you to handle it. Bless that heart.
But I
He's-
think
he's-
it's
you-
different
you-
between a man and a woman also. Love languages and such, because I should be adverse, I feel like, to physical touch because it was used against me, but that's all that I want because I didn't have it. So that's all that I want is just to be touched all the time. And that makes me feel present.
I'm getting sick
But
just hearing it.
also my dad was verbally abusive. So too much words. Now I'm so sensory sensitive that I'll just like disassociate, because I would just like leave my body to leave the situation, because if I got him to stop talking, he would leave. The more I escalated him and talked back or did whatever, the worse and worse it got. And I had little siblings that I had to look out for. So I was like, I'm just going to shut up and leave this place so I can just like have some peace. And then when he's done, I'll come back. So like too much words and too much of this, whatever. But touching is like, hey, like I need you, and I'm back. And it pulls me back into my body. So I think it's a difference with men and women. Like, you know, if your mom, you know, you have effects from your mom, I feel like that are bigger. There's something about the mother to son relationship and dad to daughter relationship that seems to like be more traumatic when that gets like,
I agree,
men are used to fighting each other.
And
I
also,
shouldn't have
too,
to fight a grown man.
Yeah, like as a man, you're either going to be the usurper or a disappointment, right? So, and you think of the Call of the Wild, like a lion raises another boy, and well, eventually that fucker's going to try him, and you got to bounce it. So we're, you know, like hearing that, like as men, at least black men, for me, I can speak for myself. You know, it's like, get out, cool. I was already built for that. And if you're, and from hearing from your perspective, being in my shoes, you're not built for it the same way. You can endure it, but it's going to cost you something.
Oh yeah.
You know, like, and the same thing for me. If I got coddled, you look at you just look at how we are as adults, and you go back to the single father households or single mother households, and now you made this kid your best friend, and then they get up and they have no boundaries and nobody, and they acting ass. You know, like they turn into these betas who disguise themselves as alphas. And it's nothing wrong. It's just you're a product of your environment. So I think back in all of these things that we deal with affect you in business.
Oh my God.
And how you see relationships and how you navigate it, right?
And so then how, you know, would you say it's more hard for African-American men to really dial in and being successful if they can't get out of their way emotionally? Because most of the people I've talked to, especially on the white side, they have a poise. That word poise is one of my favorite things because it demands attention. If Michelle Obama walked in here right now, she would reek of power that without opening her mouth, right?
Preach.
It's just one of those things like...
It's a sexy, like silent sexy.
You go, oh shit, I gotta go put some different clothes on real quick. Like she'll make you question who you are for once. It'd be like
just walking in the room,
and it because and mind you, and I don't know from Adam, but I would presume her kindness alone would just warm your spirit in a way that has never been touched, and that in itself could be an awakening. So when we go back to business, mentorship, how we were raised, showing up in one moment that could change your life, and just again sometimes just shutting the fuck up. Is there anything people can do to prepare themselves, black men especially, to really grow even, man? Because we're carrying a lot because we didn't see a lot. I didn't see a lot, but I'm like, I want to see more.
I would say no. And yes. So to answer, like you mentioned, it's like, so like, I feel like a lot of times we cover our pain with production. So I feel like a lot of the most successful people that have the most money have not spent any time dealing with, well, let me say it differently because I don't want to make an absolute statement, right? Yeah. But like, you could be extremely wealthy and you can make a lot of money and still be emotionally unhappy. I did that for myself in New York.
Yeah.
You know, it's a sense of, I think the question should be rephrased is, can you find a sense of fulfillment? And I think to some degree, your success, like look at the life we live. Like everybody's very Instagram heavy. It's like what I look like, this shield and mask of production or perfection, but it doesn't tell the story, right? You know, a lot of most
no story.
Financially people, their house is in disarray. And I think it's more like, can you find balance? And I think it's a polarizing left and right that tells the story. I've been in relation, you know, with, not to put people out there on blast, but like culturally, it was about the image. And you like, yo, man, this person on paper checks every box. But behind closed doors, and life inevitably shows real ass shit. Once the real ass shit comes and that pressure starts getting applied, you start seeing the tools that you have. So I think, you know, you could be extremely financially successful. My thing is in business is, how do I scale a business built on a foundation of bullshit?
You can't.
And that's where I think that we struggle as a black community is like, more often than not, you see the most successful people, they quit the job and then they start the passion and create the success, right?
They create the life they want to live.
Exactly.
And they find that peace.
And then the finances come second behind the struggle. But more often than not, in my opinion, you see these crazy success stories. They were living a life that they thought they had. based around rules and shit that they thought they need to do based on environment, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And then they disrupted it, came back and struggled mightily, and then found success not organically, but it reflected the work that they did. And I think that that's the evolution
is
portion.
definitely on yourself, people. That's the hard part. It's one of the hardest battles you ever face is trying to get out of your own way until you're not. Because once you learn, as we talk about, you hear that word triggers at times. I, for the most part, stay out of environments that would trigger anything for me to go backwards. And I definitely want to be around peaceful people. And this is a peaceful room here. I mean, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's about 6 people in this room, and everybody's here for the right. Even this, this young man here, he reached out and said, "Hey, I can do this now, help for free. You guys need this. I'm a contractor." I said, "Man, look, just come be in the room on Sunday, man. Just come be in the room. You just need to be in the room, be in the cup, see kind of because this is the stuff that nobody gets to see a lot of times." And again, he's a good person. So you go, let's see if we can invite another person into a space where he can grow, because you never know what you need or who you need in this life. That is the truth. I do believe in that. So when you're a mentee mentor, I don't think you could be mentored unless you actually want more. So the question is, it's kind of like, oh, Q, you making 6, why not 7? Oh shit, that didn't even cross my mind. I'm living well now. Well, it's not about living well, it's about growing. And what does growth look like? Unfortunately, money, in a sense, is a marker for growth. It is. Just like your days. Every year you wake up and you're still doing that same shit, and it ain't shit changed. That is a marker. You need to change something in your life. So you say, what are the things we need to be better? How do we find mentorship? My question be, who are you choosing to be? And why would someone want to mentor you? That's the thing, too. If you don't become the person that you want to meet, then a mentor ain't never going to want to meet you or have nothing to do with you. Maul, you got any mentor questions or stories, or was there a question that changed, your life per se?
I mean, shit, they both pretty much hit it on the head, but it comes back down as far as, like I said, that degree in separation. Like, I have mentors as far as best they could do for love and affection and trying to take care of, family and whatever the case may be, trying to leave like a good memory for me to look after going into fatherhood and the importance of like community, right? It takes a village. But as far as like someone that I could look up to that, took it to that wealth gap, it was the situation when it came into the whole real estate. It's funny that he said that because he dumbed it down for me even more. Just, hey man, you're connected. Connect some dots.
And
see what happens out there, right? And then it's like you said too, used to making a certain type of money, and then when it just happened so easily,
yeah,
you know what I mean? I was like, oh shit. And then he was same thing. He was like, just plenty of ways. Don't never get caught up in status quo. There's plenty of ways to make a dollar. You just got to find out what you could be the master of your own lane and your own skill.
And if you don't mind,
overthink it.
Maul told us a story. God gave him a check for over $25,000 basically because he connected 2 dots. So originally he says, "Hey, do I need to become a real estate agent?" He says, "No. Do you know somebody who wants to buy a property?" "Yeah, good. Just get this. I'll give you that." And now mind you, first this nigga lying.
Yeah.
There's no contract, no this. And that first wire comes through, you say, "Oh, this is a fucking thing."
And then went to 100. Then I walked away from the shit. See, just
stop doing it after you.
Well,
So, but mind you, and that's him not cutting corners. It's like there's so many ways to achieve success. Get in rooms, learn from the room, be better. But you got to be in the right mind, and that mind has to grow. People next to your heart, I think the mind is probably one of the strongest organs. Your heart's gonna put up with a lot of shit, man. It's gonna deal with a lot, man. That heart, boy, I'm telling you, you hear people say we have a heavy heart, and if you've lived the life we've lived, it sounds like it's a real heavy heart. So that mind is the only thing that's gonna keep that heart pumping a lot of times, and you got to get that mind strong to deal with this bullshit that we all going through at times in life. But in summing up, mentorship, man, definitely one of the most important things, because the best of them, meaning the most wealthy people, have people that they call and ask questions to, people that they trust and will entrust their lives to, in a sense. So everyone has somebody who's better than them, smarter than them, has more wealth than them, leading them, guiding them, teaching them how to be the best them. Because like, oh, I know who I am. Do you know who you are? Do you know how to do that again? Oh, you did it once. Let's see if you can do it again. And again, and again. So mentors, man, if you could find a good one, cling to that which is good. Definitely take care of that person. Hopefully they're there for the right reasons. Anything you guys want to leave them with, because there's so much more I would want to, We got to get to this pizza here in a second,
Heard.
so he can get some carbs. The carbs, your body needs about 100 grams of carbs for the brain to function, and we don't want nobody to start shutting back down because we got one more good one to finish with, and then we still got to talk a little bit business and map what I think Q needs to kind of look, just have an open mind about from a social media standpoint. I love the social media approach because you're the second person who I won't say is indifferent, but they've had struggle with it, right? But then they'll tell me they'll watch an hour episode of some science about this and that. I said, well, you got them paid. I said, now you just repurposing your own belief and faith. Q, you're super energetic, and people are they're gonna love you to death, especially as you continue to become more, I won't say exposed in a sense, but just more productive in a different way. I think it goes back to evolving, right? I'm not on social media because I want to be popular. I'm wearing fucking highlighter colors right now, and I'd go out there right now and shoot 5 videos with red and highlighter orange on and would never consider what I look like because it's what I'm saying that you should be focused on. Not even the dogs. Can I help somebody be better? And that's a question I ask, again, myself every day. What can I contribute to the world? And social media, unfortunately, is one of those leeways that can open up so many doors. And when people doing it wrong, and I won't say wrong, they're doing what they feel is best. People like us, we get to tell the truth and share real-time moments where people get to say, oh, damn, them niggas is being mad honest. And the irony is the ones who are the most honest are the ones that often grow. Everybody else trying to be something they're not. They're the ones who they're stifled. Like, oh, that's the top line for you. But anything you guys want to leave them with in terms of mentorship? Or life, anything. Fuck, I don't give a shit.
You know, I think, I'm actually doing a lot of digesting right now. I'm taking something from it. I think understanding that a mentor is a seasonal investment of time is key. To go in there, understanding that eventually your expectations are not going to be met.
Yeah.
Vice versa, and that relationship will come to an end. That's not something that I was taught. Like, I feel like I leaned into mentorship thinking that you're going to be my savior and my parent,
man.
and you're going to carry me across the finish line. That's not what it's about. And that's where I failed. I failed trying to make relationships into things that they were not, and bringing people from one season that they were meant to stay into a season. That's where the disappointment and a lot of the pain is trying to carry a relationship into a season where it's already fulfilled its purpose. And I think is recognizing your own growth so you can powerfully complete that chapter and let it evolve into what it does, and then allow things to come versus trying to make a mentor into a lifelong coach.
Oh, we might do an episode on letting niggas go.
Man.
Because that's what it, I mean, look, I know people have family, black people. Ooh, that's what we gonna do. That's what, look, the next one, I got it. I got it. Do you know how many times when we start ascending to a new height, we think we got to take all the suckers with us? Mm-hmm. And the sucker could be a family member.
And if you don't know who the sucker is,
you the sucker.
You can't recognize the sucker in the room.
Yeah. And you don't want to be an all-day sucker. So point is when we're looking at mentorship and even leading a life of growth, you go, you know, let's say Q hits his first $100,000 check. And then his homie's like, well, I want to learn. You get in there, 2 weeks in, he's making you look bad. You go, oh, about this nigga. This nigga don't know how to, he don't got no people skills. He can't sell like that, nothing. And then he might just keep beating it. It's like, look, Q, you guys got to go. Now you got to fire him. Now that friendship's gone. But if you could identify, like, bro, you never was going to be able to do that much work. People have asked me many times, Trevor want to get involved. I just laughed. I said, my man, you're not smart. You're a good guy, cool to come by, hang out the house, but get involved in doing what? And even one of my friends, when I built T50, wanted to go and come to the school. I said, you know, my man, I have no trouble with you smoking weed. That's not the issue. But you have to do it all day. I said, you can't go into a school high. and I said, fast forward, we drove to Lawrence for you to you're spending $60. You spent $120 on food that day. Your pleasure comes before production.
That's deep.
I said, so I'm gonna be concerned with you because you like you're an addict. And I don't mean he's not an addict to weed, not addicted to weed. He's addicted. Right. He's an addicted person. So anything he gets on, it has to be this way. I got to get it right now, 12 o'clock. Dude's got it right now. If I don't get it today, I won't get it. And he starts going down. He spirals, right? So I love that because that could segue into some other topics you come up with. But for sure, you got to know when to leave people in the fall because I'm moving into the winter and it's getting cold and I cannot keep everybody warm. That's the truth. I can't keep everybody warm. But see you again in the summertime. Guys, thank you again for listening to Unmotivated. I love seeing these people's faces even because you can see their process and their thinkers. They're intentional thinkers. They're intentional planners. They're here with intent, to say the least. And likewise, to be clear. So like, subscribe, share. I don't know what all this stuff entails or how to do it all, but we're on Spotify. If you're listening, thank you for listening. Download people. Good luck whatever you're doing. Find a mentor. Be the person you want to be. And 9 out of 10 times, the mentor will find you.